that kind of stuff. Somewhat implies that like a higher, you know, like I don't know. I just felt like I became acclimatized to the Ritalin very quickly, and now I've reached like a fairly high dose, and I'm wondering again, like, am I just actually like, I know, I like the it's not acclimatized because I don't want it to have like noticeable effects, but I need it to be effective. It is meant to keep me medicated for like 8 hours, and it just doesn't, which is funny. Um, and sometimes that can be annoying when I'm like trying to do 4 hours of coding, and then like 2 hours in, I'm like, well, fuck, I took my medicine like 3 hours ago, and like now I've done, and I gave it like 40 minutes to work, and blah 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 blah. Now I'm like 2 hours in. I'm kind of like, you know, feeling like peak. I feel it hidden, like the lightness of step, or there's like this. It's not euphoria, but it's like a sense of like relaxed, you know, thing that happens like when the Ritalin hits. Um, Maybe psychosomatic a little bit. Meant to be 12. Jesus. I guess that's why like me taking that medication is like fuck. Now I'm not going to sleep for like 12 hours, right? But I mean, lately I've literally been taking my medicine, and then I've been having naps at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The past like 2 or 3 days, I've been like asleep at about this time. Or well, not yesterday. Yesterday I did do that big stream, but like the 2 or 3 days before that, I was like super sleepy, and I'd take my meds in the morning, and then I'd be tired and sleep at like 3 or 4 o'clock. And then I'd wake up at like, you know, 4 or 5 o'clock, and then or maybe six, and then continue on with the day, which is like not a great sign for the medication having the stimulant effect, right? It's actually pretty bizarre. Um, you need healing, you need reroll. You guys don't want to walk anywhere. Very good. Fire, ignore movement damage. Oh yeah, I was meant to add that song. I'm literally not ending the stream just because I want to listen to a little bit more music. Love that last song that you played there. Hopefully Watts comes and hangs back out later. She was sort of like talking to Rhea and being like, eh, but then she later on messaged me being like, hey, I think Rhea's actually like kind of fucking evil, and like the amount of time she talks about you is like totally fucked, and then when you like dropped all your logs, it just sort of showed how fucked up she is. which I sort of get. Like, I think a lot of people were like, oh my god, they're still talking, like, how fucked that he, like, or it wasn't even that they're still talking. I know that was like that for a lot of people. When she doubled down on talking shit about me, I think a lot of people were like, fuck this guy. And I mean, in Thunderdome it's still like that as well. Probably. I mean, I assume. Don Vader was fucking... I've literally never seen him so stressed, panicked, and like a weird little freak as when I ran into him the other day. He usually tries to play it cool, calm, and collected, but he was just screaming over me and yelling at me like, you live in a halfway house! Ugh! And I was like, bro, you're just like some fucking faggot who like does this and that. And he's like, you've been telling everyone I'm a pedophile. And I'm like, no, dude, I have like other reasons to hate you. But then he just yelled over me and I was like, well, whatever. Well, Don wouldn't stop. For one thing, like, I called Rick out and I leaked a bunch of shit about Rick. Because like Rick was constantly telling me like, hey, like the Thunderdome's on your side, blah, blah, blah. And then I go to the Thunderdome, the mod team is just like making fun of me. Cigarette, who made their banner, and like Rick would say to me like, you're on our banner, it's fine. I see Cigarette, who made the banner, being like, oh yeah, we all just like make fun of that guy and that's why he's on our banner, just to mock him. And I'm like, well, this is like dog shit. Rick is, I get messages from like Shellboner, Spinboy, and everyone else saying that Rick is basically, not like steelmanning, but he's like kind of endorsing Rhea and Kelly Jean's server, and I get screenshots of that where Rick, he's not like, it's sort of joking, but he's basically in Kelly's server being like, oh yeah, I know some stuff from behind the scenes and it's really gross and weird. And it just turned out to be Rhea lying that I like sexually harassed my sisters who were underage, but I don't have underage sisters, like, and it's all like bullshit. But for Rick just to like say that shit and then tell me that it's like all good. So essentially I'm like, you know, Rick has had this fucking obsession with Rhea, like fuck this cunt. When I go to the Thunderdome, she's not getting a trial, everything's like totally fine. In fact, Shellboner gets told by Rick that she'll get banned if she calls out Rhea. Don starts like going into it. Rhea starts lying in the Thunderdome saying, Crispy doesn't even want a trial, he wants all this over. And I'm like, I've never said that. I would love for you to like have an actual fair trial, because the amount of lying and bullshit and talking, like, I thought me and you were on good terms, Rhea. I come back in here, it turns out you've been spending weeks turning these motherfuckers against me. Yeah, turns out Rick is in full fucking simp mode, which I think gave Spinboy a fucking head spin, because I see Spinboy and Rick in my server. Rick starts coming into my server and just dropping these gay little emojis, just like little like smiley emojis or little smirk emojis. I'm like, oh, this is like, you're like taxi coded, like you weird little freak, like trying to get close to every fucking woman, hanging out in all these fucking porn servers. But then on the background, like, this is why Spinboy gets the head brush, because Spinboy is like, you know, having like legendary takes, and Rick is like tying along with them. I start telling Spinboy about Rick's like obvious obsession with e-girls, and his reaction is literally like, are we talking about the same person? And I'm like, dude, like, yeah, like I don't judge you for like not saying it, because it's like but like it's not like a sophisticated lie, it's just bullshit, like right there. So I think Don gets pissed off that I'm shitting on him. Plus, I'd already had to shit on Don for ages. Don is a fucking piece of shit. Like, I had been giving Don a lot of the benefit of the doubt as being a friend of Rick's, who was a friend of mine. But then, you know, yeah, like, Rick is, like, repeatedly for months. It's just, they should have, like, shut that shit down. And I had to keep repeatedly telling them, like, hey, you can't, like, stop trying to farm my personal thing with Rhea. I even went to the Thunderdome, had a pre-negotiation with Rick and Don that, like, yeah, I'm not actually going to talk about the Rhea thing today, but like we can just like do beef about other shit. When I get in there and do that, they start mass reporting all of my accounts and trying to get my Kick and my YouTube and everything banned off the internet. And I say to Rick, I'm like, hey, like, there are people in your thing live streaming themselves, reporting all of my shit. And I've just watched myself get 3 or 4 reports, and there's like 30 other people in this VC watching it as well, and I can assume that a percentage of those people are doing it too. So like, and Rick's response is like, you're trying to bully me into like shutting down my server or blah blah blah. And I was like, no bro, I'm just going to leave because I'm not going to be a part of this if all of my shit is being reported. And now you're trying to like big man me, like I'm bullying you and shit. And that was right after Rick had like found out that me and Rhea were actually in some sort of relationship as well. So like he just immediately just became like a total toxic, like weird little freak. And then I even still gave him the benefit of the doubt after that. and that's why he was able to come into my server later and like post little screenshots and smileys. But at the same time I saw him doing that, I heard about and got the screenshots of him and Kelly Jean's server like advocating for Rhea, and he could like have like the double-sided benefit of the doubt of being like, well, like obviously it was stupid that she was saying, oh, it's like it's so gross that he like sexually harassed his sisters or whatever. But I'm like, yeah, it is fucking retarded, but you were still on board with it. And like you didn't explain it or you didn't deny it. I mean, I don't even know if Rhea, I don't actually know what happened with it. Like, I think at first she wasn't publicly saying that. I mean, it's not like she publicly, I don't even know what she publicly says or doesn't say, because not that many people report that shit back to me. I think I did specifically ask about that. Because, like, for all I know, like, Rick is literally talking about, like, my dogs or, like, other crazy shit about my family, right? So I literally had, like, a pretty stressful fucking night hearing him say that shit. And was like, what do I have to prepare for tomorrow? What a fucking loser, dude. It is a wild claim. It is an outrageous wild claim. I think what happened there was part of the stuff that I leaked about Rhea was literally her shitting on her family members a whole lot. And so she just went ahead. I had like previously told her, like, I grew up in a household of women. You know, when I was like a little kid growing up, my sisters and everyone are like a lot older than me, and they had boyfriends and they were fucking and they were walking around naked and all that shit. I'm not always going to be incredibly horny whenever I see any woman. In fact, I'm like, funnily enough, I don't like talking about all that shit like that much, but like I am not the kind of person, I really do not date for looks. Yes, there are people who look in a way that is like inherently unattractive to me, and yes, there are like super beautiful people, and there's a level of vanity that I'm like totally fine with, maybe more than most people in this way or that way. But I don't mind dating someone who is like traditionally ugly, you know? Not just traditionally not good looking or traditionally attractive or this or that. She's not conventionally attractive, that's fine. But like, I'll literally date someone who other people might think are like traditionally ugly or like whatever, because like, I don't give a fuck. It's probably one of my most like neurodivergent traits. I mean, why do you think I was dating with Rhea? It's not like she's hot. Like, fuck. Yeah, why do I need to? Well, exactly. Actually, I wrote about this in my server, and I said to her, it was so crazy that I had to explain to her that I am not just being turned on and I'm not like just a slave to being horny to women. It's so fucking gay and retarded that I have to explain that to someone, let alone like, she was for a long time pretending to be like I mean, even recently she was pretending to be like a good friend of mine. You can see in our private DMs where I'm like talking to her about like trying to be friends, and then she sort of like patronizingly keeps calling me a friend, but she's also not patronizingly calling me a friend. She's trying to say it so that it looks like she's taking the right stance, but then I have to have these talks to her like, you know, we're not really like friends, we'll kind of just have this totally fucked up thing, and you know, you don't want to talk about this, and you don't want to talk about that, and like, you think that I'm obsessed with sexuality, but like, I grew up in this kind of house, and like, I don't think any man is really as obsessed with it as you seem to think. Maybe it's your Spanish culture and your over masculine shit here or there or there. So I end up having this like conversation with her about, you know, me growing up with sisters. He literally can't comprehend it, and then tries to tell people that it involves me sexually abusing children. Like, so when I ran into Don the other day, my audio cuts out, and for like a solid 3 or 4 minutes, I like can't hear anything. I think my Bluetooth had like rotated, and I just needed to like shift a couple of my default sound settings or something. So for like 2 or 3 minutes, I'm like trying to figure that out. And by the time I unmute, Don is still talking, like as fast as I'm talking now, rattling shit off. And I unmute just in time to hear him be like, and then he like made fun of her rape, and like he was like being a creep to his sisters. And I was like, bro, prove any of that. Like none of that happened. And I think over the past week, Rhea has gone back to Justicle's server and been mocked out of there again, because they all, I think now that because Rhea kept bringing this up to me, and I ended up biting this bullet and like talking about her rape, which I've like sort of refused to do, because she keeps saying I'm making fun of it, and I know that anything I say will be interpreted badly, but I'm already getting interpreted badly. So I eventually like told the story of like what happened with her rape. Her rape story is that she went to a party, she's 18 or 19, she's drinking heavily, she's grabbing up on some guy, and then later on she's like giving him the cold shoulder. And then she's like grabbing on some other guy, and she takes his drink and she drinks his drink. She claims that there was probably drugs in that drink. Now, there may have been or there may have not been, and she may have been having a bad time or not, but she was already like so fucking hammered and acting so crazy, grabbing up on dudes. So she grabs that drink and then she starts to not feel so well. Now, this could totally be someone who's drugged, or this could be someone who is literally so fucking hammered they're grabbing up on people's drinks. She starts to feel kind of fucked up. She goes up to some other guy, grabs him, and is like, hey, let's get out of here. He goes off with her. She sucks his dick. She later on says that it was rape. That's the fucking story. Yes, I can imagine you regret it. Yeah, I bet that feels horrible. It was probably psychologically damaging. It could even be, like, very similar to rape. It could even be rape. But it's not really the way that you tell it. I never made fun of that shit. At this point, get fucked. Now, Don, there is like full explanations of that. There's like logs of all that. Don knows all of that shit. So Don is like lying, losing his mind. Not only that, he's in a weird gay porn server with this guy called Anthony. And when me and Rhea were on good terms recently, well, I mean, she was DMing me. She was like trying to enter my VCs. I'm drunk a lot. I'm just trying to like move on with my life. She comes into my thing. Dude, one of the funniest things is her being like, you're in love with me. And I'm like, look, Rhea, like, I'm definitely not in love with you. And then she leaks that, like, look, guys, look, he's actually not in love with me. This is awesome. And it's like, dude, you guys are just so desperate for the gayest shit. So what I heard from other people who were in that call with Don recently is that Don was like, oh, it's lucky this guy doesn't live near her and like yada, yada, yada. And I was like, well, like, for one hand, I'm not that kind of freak. If I was, I could do way worse. I could clone all of her social media accounts. I could dox her. I could fucking leak more shit about our private relationship, I don't know why they try to think that I'm like, she rapes people cognitively. 100%, dude. I mean, you can also see in our DMs that I am like emotionally drained and I'm trying to have these conversations with her with like this or that. And she will lie to me about me to my face, and you can just see me being like, "Yes, honey." Like I just get my dick flattened by like a fucking. She'll be like, "People think you're an incel," and it's like I don't reply to her being like, "Yeah, well, people think that you were a beast in high school, and that's why you've got no fucking self-esteem." No, I literally give her the gentle hand of being like, "That's fine. I'm not here to care what people think," because like all of my one-on-one interactions with her are genuinely about putting her first. Because I cared about her, They're farming me? Yeah, they are. So the Anthony guy, well, Don wasn't farming me. Don was genuinely petrified because Anthony, who ran the server, Anthony is this guy who must be aging, and he claims to have slept with like 2,000 women, or maybe more, like an inhumanly large amount of women. And he also claims to have been friends with Prince, like the pop idol. And Rhea and Don have both... I've never met Anthony, so I went in there because I was like interested to meet him. Because I also heard about it from Bambi. This Anthony guy has been subjugated to like some of the most toxic bullshit apparently in that server, to the point where he would like leave, he would get very upset and he'd leave, and now he has his own server. And Don and other people are in there still farming him. So Anthony is like, I think, apparently their biggest lolcow. And I think Bambi Bot was going to make a video about toxic communities, and she was going to use like Thunderdome and Anthony as like a thing. And Bambi's videos get like 50,000 views and stuff. Yeah. So Rhea, when she had been saying to me for like a few weeks, like, hey, I might join Thunderdome. And like, while we were talking quietly, more recently, and I was like, yeah, don't do it. Like, I just think it's like beneath you, and it's not like a great place. And turns out it's not beneath her. Turns out she fits right the fuck on in and is fully willing to degrade herself to like the worst fucking limp-dicked, pencil-necked freaks. Or like, like the most charismatic ones of them are just like busted-looking fucking losers. It's crazy. Like, yeah, the farming of me is like crazy. Like, they want to farm like my physique, they want to farm this, they want to farm that, like as if I give a fuck. Like, I don't think they realize how fucking grounded I am. Maybe that's why I speak so carefree. It's such an insane thing for me to say. But yeah, so after Rhea joins, this is her vanity as well. She starts telling me like about this cool experience she had where like Don introduced me to this guy who's apparently slept with like 2,000 men. But I get in there and I'm like wearing my sports bra and he can like barely talk. He's stuttering over himself and like yada yada. And I'm like, dude, like yeah, this is obviously a guy like you said in a straitjacket. This is like you're just like making fun of a mentally ill man by sexualizing yourself on stream. And met Rhea like. Actually, I don't know, it hadn't happened by that point, but like, yeah, later on when I go in there, it's just like, I go in there, Rhea's cammed up, the only other person cammed up is this like obese dude with his tits out, so I immediately cam up, and I had just gotten out of bed because I didn't realise she had blocked me, or why she was upset, which also, she's blocked Neorak too, and I talked to him about it, and he, you know, just wasn't feeling that good about it, but like, he had the idea that I probably should have had at the start, where he was immediately just like, I don't deserve this, I don't know why she's doing it, I'm not gonna ask, and I'm not gonna contribute to a friendship where she's just playing mind games with me. So good for him, good for him. Although he probably should have cast her out as a friend a long time ago. But like, I mean, you got to assume Neorak is probably the person who might have paid, aside from me, like Neorak might have given him, well, I guess there's Taxi as well, and I don't know if her and Taxi have made up or anything. They probably quietly might have, I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything, I don't know at all. Maybe they're publicly made up, I don't fucking know. It turns out that she was saying there was a guy called Soda in Thunderdome as well, and that was the guy where she would invite me to join and stuff, and then it would be like him and her, and then the mods join it, be like, is Crisp making this weird? And I'd be like, dude, like, I'm literally just here to like, he's like having a mental breakdown, and I just like chicken on in, or like she's like told me to come here, and then I would join, and she would, you know, they would, it's kind of like farming, but they'd be like, she'd be like, oh my god, this is so awkward. It turns out that guy, not only was he like married and like in some weird polyamorous thing, he was in Baby Brat's DMs and in other women's DMs, just having like e-sex with them like not replying, just being really fucking weird. Not only this, but his wife is like some Asian like quiet woman, and they would like be live streaming and they would see him just turn around and scream at his wife like, you fucking hit bitch, like go do the fucking washing, and then she would go do it. And apparently he like runs OnlyFans and shit. So Rhea was in there dating this like fucking literal pimp, misogynist, like freak wife abuser, and the second I saw him, he just looked like this like dirty liberal, like this dirty freak, dude. And he immediately tried to hit me up about being racist, because I was like, oh my god, you're black? And he was like, I'm just going to assume you're racist. And I'm like, well no, Rhea's the racist. So it's super funny you're her boyfriend. If I wanted to hate on you, I could say it's because you're gay septum piercing, or whatever it was, you know? But I'm not going to hate on you because you're black, mate. I'm going to hate on you because you're a faggot. But I didn't say, I was actually like pretty polite, but I did end up saying to him a few times, like, hey, I don't even know who you fucking are, or like whatever. I very quickly picked up on the fact that she was pretending to make me jealous to this guy. And then later on, people told me that she was like in a relationship with him, and then she was trying to play it off like this was the boyfriend she'd had for months. But more recently, he's been cast out of that community for being like a weird fucking freak. And on top of that, he also seemed to think that him and Rhea had a real relationship, as what he was telling other people. So she, like, that, it's just embarrassing to be her, dude. Like, speaking, like, farming herself, bro. Rhea, Neo was on his high horse when you dropped the Rhea Festo. What do you mean on his high horse? Like acting like he was like better than me, or like whatever. I mean the Neorak thing was fucked. She loved the attention. She was sitting in there and watching her do all the super embarrassing stuff with a big smile on her face. Yeah, she was like euphoric throughout it all. It was super gross and like unattractive to watch. You know, there's a lot of I used to find that sort of attitude unattractive when it was just a hypothetical. When it was just like me and her hanging out, and she would like describe situations like this, or sort of like talk about like farming that Anthony guy. Like, how cool is it that like I made this guy like blush? And it's like, dude, that is like a mentally ill man who, yeah, we all know he didn't fuck 2,000 women. no wonder as soon as a woman cammed up and then you start aggressively flirting with him, he doesn't know what to do, because in normal human conversation, he doesn't even know what to do. Like, retard. This isn't because you're like super beautiful. This is just because you're degrading yourself and being like a manipulative, evil bitch, like, to a disabled person. Like, and you are undeniably like you have a good home life, you have a solid IQ, you have a proper education, you did in fact do quite well in school, so you showed the commitment, you did all the stuff, you have all the opportunities. For no reason at all should you be failing in life, let alone debasing yourself for this fucking bullshit. Like, loser. You're a loser. And me, as Chris Lettuce, when I loved you and was on your side, and even after we broke up and I still loved you and wanted to be your friend, I just kept saying to you, like, hey, I hope you like pull your life together. I hope you start making the right decisions. And like, those decisions are like me as someone who, my life is fucked up, but at least I still have like this perspective of like, the proper decision is to form those like reliable, long-lasting relationships and work on myself and like be good in this way and that way. And her point of view is that she's already done all that. She's already fine. She's already good. People already love her. She already gets attention. She's already got the career. She's already smart. She's already here to like fulfill like the moral duty of what? Just having fun. And dude, it's like, yeah, you just fell in with a literal pervert pimp. Loser called Soda fucking and Sadness. Like, you debased yourself to the worst level. Not only that, like, she started just yelling at me, calling me a faggot. And if you go look on like her fucking what's it called? I don't know, like her profiles and stuff, it's like disabled, queer, like blah 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 woman. And it's like, bro, she'll just make fun of me for like, I mean, the fact that Don Vader is out here yelling at me like, you live in a halfway house, you live in a halfway house, which I don't. This is a joke from my own stream, which I guess it's super weird having people yell at me my own jokes as if I'm offended by them. But I guess he thinks that she is leaking that. But it's like, no, this is a joke I told her. But like, there are people in my area, like people who live in halfway houses are like disabled, like her, right? People who are, you know, are queer. It's awfully weird for her to yell at me and call me a faggot because I like bodybuilding. Or that, like, maybe we want to watch gay films or that. Is she just jealous? Like, what the fuck? You are one for talking to her again? A faggot? Yeah. Bro, I mean, at this... Look, I am just like a desperate loser. But, like, I would just do anything to make that proportionate. Obviously, a bigger proportion to how fucked up it is to come at her. And I guess from everyone else's point of view, it seems like a massive contradiction, and it is definitely in like some statements I make. So I'm not like super committed, but as much as like I you know, want to fuck her over, there's obviously like a disproportionately large part of me which is like, I just want to make things like better again. And a lot of that is probably just based in some illusion of like what we once had or what I once thought we were going to have, which is then obviously probably tied back to some fucking illusionary... It's such a magnitudely large fuck up on my behalf that I would assume there's like an internal part of my mind that has nothing to do with her, but is just like a void of this like potential future that she got slipped into. Jesus Christ, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I caught myself there and went back. Because our whole relationship was garbage. Like, I was playing emotional caretaker to her fucking... there were good nights. And there are, like, parts that are fun. Like, I like it when I'm relaxed and fun, when I feel like I'm being my best and I'm being my funniest. And a lot of that is based off of me feeling like I am doing that for someone who is, like, worthy for it or whatever. Which, I don't know, I shouldn't get too far into it, because then when I start saying stuff like that, it's going to, like, put me in a box, which I don't think I deserve to be in. But yeah, well, I mean, we can say that the relationship wasn't as good as uh, it wasn't like a great relationship. It's not like we had these like super profound moments. I definitely had my own personal moments of growth through it. But then equally, I just have a lot of stress building up over the past like 2 years, which obviously broke me pretty hard. Um, it's still pretty frustrating because I think I definitely reached like a crescendo of having like, you know, like I could do the streams where like 50 people would come in. People would come because they wanted to hang out with me, like new people, like, you know, like you and Watts and uh, Nino and I don't know. I swear, it's hard to put people in a box of like they came to meet me or they wanted to come hang out with me. They came for the situation, and the situation was kind of conglomerating around like me and my server. Undeniably, I was like more popular though. Wait, I'm just saying your experiences can be real. Yeah, yeah. The the idea that like I had someone to make it real for, and that they wanted to see me live a better life and all of that was like very genuinely like probably one of the greatest feelings as like a proxy to actually having that great life, you know. Um, so that shit was pretty cool. But just to wrap that shit up, Don Vader was terrified. The Anthony guy was messaging Don to be like, "No, I'm gonna leave Crispy here so we can farm him," and then Don, just in a panic, was like, Anthony just messaged me to say he's here to farm Crisp. Anthony's just farming Crisp. So he's obviously saying that to me because it's like, bro, you're from Thunderdome. Like, you literally, that's what you guys do. Like, yeah, like, why are you afraid of that? Where's the trial? And I didn't even have to say anything. And Don started accusing me of being like, Crisp is here to like start drama. And I'm like, dude, I'm chill as fuck. Like, it's fine. He's like, no, Crisp was going to ask for a trial. And I'll be like, well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe, but not right now. And then yeah, and then Dom was like, oh, Anthony's saying this, Anthony's saying that, and I was like, oh, leak that. And then I was like, and then Don was like, oh, Chris made fun of the rape, and then I was like, well, I have the screenshot of like Rhea making fun of her own rape, and then blaming it on me, like from that's the log, like. So I said to Don, I was like, I guess I got, and then I got my other logs with Don. Sorry, you asked earlier as well because the thing with Don, I like tied into Rick and I tied into that, but I did just publicly end up having to talk shit about Don because Don would tie me up in hours and hours of phone calls where I look back and it is him farming. He's not exactly farming me. He's farming his like own ego to think that he's like the cool guy who's giving advice, and he just would not stop coming in and telling me what to do, and yada yada yada. And on top of it, it would always be the opposite of what I was telling him, which then is just like undermining my entire narrative and making and like gaslighting me into thinking that I haven't already explained this to him. Um, and I end up but like eventually I just realized he's just like gaslighting himself. Like he is just, or it's intentional. Like he's just an asshole. I end up leaking some screenshots of mine and Dom's DMs, my server, and it's just a screenshot of me being like, "Hey, dude, I'm like super not interested in like fucking with Rhea, or like having her like come into my server, or like talking about her here, or like I don't think she deserves to be fucked with, and I don't want to like fuck with her." And I can't remember if me and her were talking privately at that point or not. But then his next reply to that is like, "Bro, Rhea joined the server and she's cammed up. Get in. It's happening. It's happening." And I'm like, how off the back of me just like, and like I've had to tell you for days and days and days and hours and hours and hours to like fuck off with this. And then I just have it like very clearly written down, and then a day later you just send me a message, "It's happening, it's happening." So I just screenshot that and I put it on my server, and I'm like, "Look, guys, like I've never been friends with this guy. He's like a massive faggot, like and like if anyone wants to be in here acting this way, like I'm super not interested." And Don's response was finally like he was like embarrassed and ashamed, but he just attacked me by being like, "You're just like this with every girl." And I was like, "That's crazy, Don. Like, not only have I never actually like pursued any kind of relationship with any of these girls, if you were a woman, Don, I might have more time for your like retarded fucking statements. But unfortunately, you're just like a busted dude who I like, should be doing better. Get the fuck on out of here." And then I think I left him there for like an hour or two so he could read the message, and then I kicked him out of my server. And then eventually I kicked Rick out not too long afterwards as well, because Rick just started doing like his like smug little like fucking bullshit. And then yeah, actually, I just had a feeling about Rick, so I kicked him out of the server but didn't ban him, just so they get like the hint. Because like either start making the right fucking statements publicly instead of just like advocating against me so hard, like quietly and privately, when like and then to my face, like lying to me and like making all this shit up over your like simping bullshit. Because like this is my real life, bro. This is my actual feelings. This is actually shit I actually care about. You fucking loser. Not that I care about my reputation with all those friends and shit, but I do hate it that they're feeding into Rhea's fucking need for attention and all of that bullshit at my expense. Like, what the fuck, dude? Not to mention, I mean, there are people whose like reputations are like. I definitely agree with all of the, like I was saying before about me being popular. There's all this like future reputation and relationships that I could have developed that I'll probably never ever ever get here. I assume this kind of shit will follow me for years for the rest of my time in this space. I am undoubtedly like kind of fucked, right, because of this bullshit. Um, so yeah, that definitely sucks. But yeah, after I kicked Rick out from there is when he was like, more publicly, or what people were telling me. I'm trying to remember the exact words that people used, but they were like, yeah, essentially he's like steel manning or like advocating for Rhea, like in Kelly's server and that. And so I just released a thing being like, hey, look, like here are logs of Rick like aggressively trying to make Rhea talk to him for over a year now, because Rhea lied to Baby Peach about me and Rick. And I, at the time, said to her, like, you're a fucking dickhead and you need to, like, not be supporting Baby Peach. But I didn't really give a fuck about Baby Peach. I didn't really give a fuck about Rhea. I did that and I fucked off. Rick, on the other hand, spent a year sending her paragraphs and paragraphs of messages while also being, like, publicly making statements like, oh, I guess we hate each other, so I'll just leave her alone. And it's like, well, like, if you hated her, wouldn't you, like, attack her? So you're saying you like he's like ironic. She hates me, but I don't hate her. But like I guess I'll just back off. But it's like no, dude. She's just saying she doesn't want to be your friend. You keep trying to flirt with her, and then in the DMs, he's like trying to assertively ask for apologies because I leaked all these DMs, and then she'll be like, no, dude. Like, hey, in the kindest way possible, I just need you to like leave me alone. And then she would message me the next day being like, bro, Rick just fucking love heart reacted my shit, even though I'm like not apologizing, asking him to go back. And I'm afraid I'm going to get paragraphs more. And then, yeah, lo and behold, a day or two later, she gets these big fucking paragraphs being like, oh, hey, like, we can all just be, like, grown-ups together and, like, this and that. But it's like, no matter how solid and mature that paragraph looks, this is, like, a year of him following her around and obsessing over this random fucking ego. And I don't really know how much I believe that they didn't flirt in the past or she didn't lead him along or this or that. But they both say that that never happened. Not that either of them seem to be reliable narrators at all. In fact, like they seem to be the opposite. They seem to intentionally like lie and manipulate. I feel like I make I make a lot of mistakes and misspeaks, but I feel like they're like generally like pretty understandable. So fuck, even sometimes when I do like fucking cook and like do like crazy lies, like maybe I did call Don a pedophile. I don't think I did. I think he's like totally lying and he just says that to avoid actually any accountability for the things that I do criticize him on. I don't know why I would say that about him when I actually have real criticism for him. I wouldn't want to detract from the fact that Don Vader is like a fucking asshole. He tried to attack me. He was like, oh, I was there for you. Spin Boy was there for you. And I was like, why the fuck are you talking about Spin Boy? Yeah, Spin Boy was there for me. You, Don, were never there for me. You were never my friend. Spin Boy will argue with me that me and him were friends. And I'll be like, I don't know if we're like friends. And he'll be like, you're coping, and you're a faggot for even thinking that. Whereas Don will be like, oh, we were like great friends, and I'm like, we were never friends. Like, we really just were not friends. Like, you were like a friend of a friend, and you would just offer me like, he would offer me a spot on Keemstar's show, and just never followed through on it. Never followed through with anything. So like, yeah, a lot of people who were there. Like, I mean, I've never seen Don spurg so hard. He spurged very, very hard. Yeah, I feel like there was one more clarification I was going to put in there. Was Spinboy mates with them? No, not really. I don't know. I assume Spinboy enjoyed like talking to. Well, actually, I don't know. Like, Don. What was it? Spinboy agreed with like some of Don Vader's takes. Like, I think Spinboy once saw me telling Don to like fuck off with them stuff, and then Spinboy was like, "But Chris, like he's probably what if he's right about that? Right about this?" But like, essentially, because like Don is trying to make me attack Rhea and yada yada yada, so Spinboy's like on side with that. But then, like, obviously, we can like see through it all that like Spinboy was like the biggest crisp defender in the Thunderdome, and they shut all that shit down. They gave her a platform to like do this and do that. They advocated for her. They allowed her in despite her like doxing people and like lying about pedophilia and like manipulating men. They're definitely not bros before hoes. Like it's literally just whatever they feel like is okay, and that's a big problem I've debated Rick on the Thunderdome all of the time, is that Rick used to hate, and they hate on, they have like a culture of hating on Justical, which is just like literally because Rick got pissed off, and like, yeah, Justical just keeps telling the Thunderdome people to fuck off. And like, I mean, Rick got bullied out of Justical server for just being like a bit too fucking arrogant. Like, I think being a 30-year-old man and telling a bunch of other grown adults in 5 paragraphs how to eat pussy is super fucking gay, dude. If I'm 8 years old and I'm wondering how to eat pussy for the first time, fucking, I don't need Rick's fucking weird shit to go be like, hey, just make sure you don't like jam your fingers up in a woman and then just leave them there for 20 minutes. She might find that a bit weird. Yeah, no shit, retard. Is that a mistake you made? And I don't know. That's the only thing I remember of reading Rick's thing, and I definitely didn't read it closely because I just thought that was super gay. Anyway, shit like that I think got Rick kicked out of Justicles. Definitely the clickiness of like Justicle's place. You gotta be like, I know those people talk mad shit about me behind my back the entire time I've been there. I mean, and I see them do it with like everyone, right? Like they're fucking snaky in there. But that shit personally hurt Rick to the point where it's now a big part of his fucking culture to constantly shit on and compare themselves to Justical server, which is just like gay as fuck. Who gives a fuck? Constantly saying Justical server's dead just makes you look like that you're like super obsessed with your not dead server, which is just filled with like fucking losers who have nothing going on in their lives except their online internet relationships where they all try to seem not gay to each other, right? Like, which is totally fine to be gay, but like, I don't know why you're calling everyone else a faggot when really you're just hanging out in a server filled with dick pics and femboys, right? I don't know why, and that those same people are like, Chris was obsessed with women. She's lucky that she doesn't live near him. I mean, yeah, you kind of are lucky that you don't live near me, because I'd pick you up and dunk your head in the toilet. I would physically assault you. And you would deserve it. And you would cower and you would beg, oh, please. Or maybe you'd fight me like a man, I don't know, and would have a great time. And then that would be satisfying as fuck. Not that I want to be engaged in those kind of activities anyway. I mean, I literally broke up with Rhea for exactly those insincere, inhuman behavior patterns. But yeah, what a stressful year. What a stressful year. And especially, by January, February, March, like came around, I was like, hey, I need to find like some people to unwind and de-stress with. Um, Starting to feel more confident talking to women, and then it's not exactly like unlucky that I ran into Rhea. It's that I was aggressively like preyed upon by like a fucking whore, right? And it feels harsh to like say all of these things, because even to this day, if Rhea ever makes contact and wants to hang out with me, I'll let you guys know. But just a message to Rhea, like, hey, if you ever just want to reach out, go ahead. Although I probably will be making fun of her a lot more to her face and be a lot more brutal. Because, bullying is good for people. If she ever wants to tell me again, everyone just thinks that you're an incel because you, like, are too judgmental a woman. And I'll be like, well, yeah, everyone just thinks that you are, like, an obese high school girl who is now, like, a massive slut to make up for your, like, deficits, Rhea. I'm not going to try to explain my potentially, like, incel nature or, like, this or that. Who knows why I think that women are basically robot NPCs who are barely worth engaging with. Maybe my mother and sisters should have, been more genuine people. And maybe, like, other women should keep me fucking away from Rhea. Or forgive me more for, like, her obviously egregious actions, or forgive her less. Like, I don't know. I do not think the world is a fair place, and I definitely think that her and her gender and her bullshit carries so much weight. And I mean, that overlays onto everything. Like, everyone who, Like Rick and Don and those fucking bullshits, obviously fucking losers. But anyone in Justical server or anyone in any other place who gives her the benefit of the doubt, despite her fucking outrageous actions, which are maybe they don't appear as bad as mine, but nothing I did is like an escalation, and everything that she did is in fact like an underhanded deception, whereas I'm just like way more fucking upfront with it. No, I will not stop blaming other people for being involved with these freaks. Everyone will get their culpable blame. To be fair, though, I probably shouldn't be the one pointing out that blame. I can probably think it, feel it, but I probably shouldn't acknowledge it. That was a good round. That was a good round. I don't know if that was a good round, though, honestly. I feel like if I watch these ones back, I'm like, sheesh. Way more misspeaks than I remember. Dude, watching rants like this back and then seeing the misspeaks of like events and stuff, yeah, it creates like little memories of it's hard to get. It's like when you trick out cashiers like, thanks, have a good day, and you're like, thanks, see you later, and then like, wait, no, I won't. I didn't realize how many people really got to turn on each other. Um, yeah, I mean, Machiavelli jealous right now. I did say like, you know, like Raiden, like, dude, were you there when Raiden first spooked out on me? And I clicked, and I was like, oh, this is like one of the. I mean, there's been a few other men who have been like obviously weird and jealous, but I was like, Raiden is like losing his mind right now. And luckily, Tourniquet was there because he's pretty sharp and a hilarious like troll. And he picked up like very quickly as soon as I said like, hey Raiden, like you're a little bit too mad. And then me and Raiden kept debating, and then Tourniquet like came in and was like, "Wait, let's go back to like before. Like, yeah, Raiden, like you are like very pressed." And then they kind of like took over, which is I love those comp sci dudes because they're definitely they're from like a actually more down to earth crew. They are a bit more like onto it with their real lives, like they're a bit smarter, and they are more used to like the internet trolly shit. So they're going to take this all this seriously, be a bit more funny, and not be so. It's like boring when you just get people who like yell over you, like Raiden or like the Thunderdome retards, right? So those guys like taking control of that situation. I mean, every time like Spinboy's done that for me as well. Tourniquet's done that for me. Like I'll be arguing with like Raiden or FMJ or someone, and they'll like take over and be like, "Aren't you like a deadbeat dad?" Or like, yeah, with Raiden is like, yeah, "Why do you just care so much? Like, what the fuck?" But Don was undeniably very similar to Raiden. And from what Rhea was telling me privately, her and Don had been hanging out and talking privately like quite a lot. And then it's even with the Soda guy. I think Soda had a reputation of being like assertive or whatever in their server. And, it turns out Rhea literally convinced him that the two of them had like some sort of like relationship. He was convinced of it. And then, yeah, it turns out not to be true. As well as Soda then starts like hitting on all of the other women to probably try to make up for some bruised ego. And yeah, Don ended up spurging at me and this like assertive, but it wasn't assertive. Don doesn't really have that in him. It was just spurging, and it's probably because he has feelings for Rhea. I would literally say Raiden's a bitch. It was pretty funny watching Raiden just get repetitively bitched. His shit with Peach is some of the funniest leaks ever. But also like watching like Weed LMAO and like other people being like, why are you like just trying to attack Crisp so much on like retarded shit? And Raiden's like, well, if you have something to be attacked on, then you should just be prepared to be attacked on it. And it's like, what? Okay, Raiden, I guess I guess you have a dick, and I come from a society of eunuchs, so we're cutting your dick off now. I don't know, like, what is the argument there, Raiden? Aren't you a black man in America? Like, how do you feel like that is an okay way to live? Like, what the fuck? But yeah, Raiden is an absolute bitch. The funny that I definitely enjoyed arguing with Raiden a lot. It was super gay though, knowing that like Rhea was actively at the time just leaking my family, all of my private details, because that's when I sort of did realize like because I still hadn't publicly talked about anything with her, and I was still actively being like, hey, I like, we are just broken up and we're really good friends, and like I'm still worried about you and this, and like I'm still actively working on, you know, parts of our friendship that we were like, you know, it was all growing and developing. So at that point, it all seemed like everything was still sort of on board, and I didn't realize how fucking crazy it was about to get. But Raiden was going so hard on me, and then he just started leaking all of my like private things that I'd said to her, and I was like, oh, she's like actively talking to him right now behind the scenes, like telling about my family, telling about my house, talking about my hopes and dreams, talking about my childhood, all of this shit. And I mean, that was like 4 months ago, and then over the next 4 months, it's just outrageous stories. Like I raped my child sisters, which, you know, don't exist. But yeah. I mean, Rhea literally told me that, like, I mean, me and Rhea laughed about how ugly Don was, because he was on the photo, and she would laugh about how Don was in her DMs a lot, but how like he's like a busted looking motherfucker. So she's like an absolute cunt. And then, you know, but like her laughing at him like that, I know does not cut her off. In fact, her paying any attention to him. When people watched, I put up a stream of me and Rhea more recently, and I got a bunch of DMs. This video got a lot of watch time, like straight away, like 20 or 30 hours of this 3-hour VOD, or 4-hour VOD. So I put up a 4-hour VOD. It's actually the latest thing on my channel. Where this is like a pretty good point to bring up. So yeah, this is like a 4-hour VOD of, this VOD is chronologically like right before me and Ea start e-sexting, and it's like really hitting me like a wave that like this girl is into me, my self-esteem isn't very high, and I'm like, yikes. And I got a bunch of DMs from people being like, dude, this is super revealing, like she is in love with you. That's literally what people would say. This bitch is in love with you. And I'll be like, yeah, why did you not, like, of course, like I definitely thought she was. But equally, now that I go back and look at this, and I'm definitely not taking away the fact that a lot of her stuff is authentic, and I probably shouldn't talk about it too much, but like even more recently, when it's very likely that everything she did was to manipulate me, and because she would publicly say like, oh, I just used him as my diary or this or that. She didn't just use me as a diary. When I was drunk and we were hanging out, she still went ahead to show me all of her Genshin Impact gameplay. She's a huge fan of Genshin Impact. I brought up Vampire Diaries. She immediately started educating me on all this Vampire Diaries stuff, which when we were dating, we had like looked into a little bit, but I hadn't shown that much interest. But then when I was drunk and whatever, I was like, I actually do really like Nosferatu and old vampires, and I did a little bit of looking into Vampire Diaries, and they actually hit these old tropes that you don't really see so much in Twilight or other vampire horror, and I was like interested in it. So she actively engaged with me in these hobbies, and she was like super happy to do that like with me, and she wanted me to know about it and like this and that. So she wasn't just treating me like a diary. It didn't seem completely authentic, but equally it ended up being completely authentic. She eventually, you know, like broke down over nothing and was like totally primed for all that shit. Regardless, this fucking stream of like right before we start e-fucking is and then right before, like right around, I'm like, I've already said to her like, I do have like a big crush on you, and then we start like doing that, but then I'm like, maybe we should like dial back so we like don't do that, and she's like, well, let's not dial it back, let's escalate, right? So that all starts happening immediately after this, and I just want to say though that even though she looks like infatuated with me in this stream, other people's words, not mine, she kind of just seems to actually be able to do this with like men consistently. We see it in Cyclone's DMs, we see it with Soda and Sadness. Neorac seemed kind of remorseful that like, you know, he says to me like, I don't think she was anyone's boyfriend and I don't think she was mine. I get the feeling her and Neorak were telling each other that they loved each other hundreds and hundreds of times. Either that or it was like her and another one of the boys who she actually hinted to me was one of the mods in Just Cool server. So I would assume it was probably a Mumu. But a Mumu seems to have dealt with her like relatively maturely. I think he did, I don't know, it was when I was drunk again one day. I think he came into a VC and was like, I don't like you, Crispy, and I can't remember what he said. I remember me being like, well, you're fat, haha. Mumu is funny. He does remind me like a grumpy boy sometimes. But Neorak was definitely very grumpy about the whole Rhea thing, and I definitely gave Neorak a lot of the benefit of the doubt. It's interesting hearing you saying he was on his high horse. Because whenever I saw him, or whatever I saw, he would try to act like he wasn't grumpy at Rhea, he was grumpy at like the mods or something. And then he also like slid into my DMs and started hanging out on my server a lot. It turns out he was messaging Rhea thousands of messages every single day, or you know, like dozens of messages every single day. And Rhea, and then later on there were other leaks where Rhea was actively being like, she was running past her stories about what to say about me to him, and then it turns out he was also like quietly talking to me. But I don't really remember him being too, not that he would have needed to be too inquisitive, for me to just like be pretty open about everything. It is strange. It's definitely kind of not so cool that he would like start befriending me when really he's actually been dating my girlfriend at the same time, and then later on he's like, oh, we were never dating. I was like, well, I don't know why you need to say that shit. For some reason though, my first DM with him is in August. So maybe he has like another account or something that we DM'd on. My brain... My old account got banned last year, so I'm guessing maybe he had another account. Unless we just talk publicly or whatever. It's not really something I paid too much attention to. I don't know why I'd be DMing the dude. Now, when Elwood first dropped his MVC trying to get me involved in it all. Oh, that's crazy. One of the most useful parts, and one of the most fucked up parts, is Richard lying that like we were all making fun of her rape. When like you, Shellboner, Dung Devil were all there, and who else was there? You, Shellboner, Dung Devil. You were there, right? You were definitely there. Yeah, to all see Richard like, oh, and Cyclone, obviously. I mean, even Cyclone was like, no, it didn't happen. But I mean, I guess she was already saying it by that point. But yeah, that's a funny one. I've definitely decided to like write Richard off fully. It's just like a certain level of actual mental disability that like I can't put up with. But yeah, Don Vader actively just like lying about everything. So definitely a weird freak. Yeah, I mean, Richard just says weird shit. It's not really cooking. It's just fucking weird. And then, you find out, like he's getting lewds off Rhea, he's actively talking to other women all the time and shit. I'm gonna look down on all that. Call me a fucking incel. I only recently, like, took a bit of a dive to, like, start talking to women on the server more. I, too, had to aggressively reject Peach. me and Raiden have something in common. I'm just looking at my DMs with Neorak. He says, you're either... I'm definitely stressed out and schizo posting quite a lot at him. And he's sending me some, like, pretty nice little replies. He's telling me that Taxi joined the Thunderdome. He's warning me that the Thunderdome will turn against me. Yeah, I mean, their rec seemed pretty fine. And yeah, it turns out Rhea has actively blocked him in there. And I said to him, I was like, I think if you end up giving her the respect of not appeasing to everything she says, you know, it's like if someone's wearing like a horrible shirt and you're like, you look fine. It's like with Rhea when it's like, hey, you probably shouldn't cut off your family over like nothing. You should treat this as like, well, Rhea's sister was a little bit mean to her because Rhea was like having a diabetic thing, and her sister was like, "You were meant to plan for this. You were meant to go get your coke. I'm not coming to fucking help you sort it out." And Rhea was like, "I'm cutting her off for life. She's a narcissistic cunt." And I'm like, "Dude, she's on holiday with her multiple kids, and you're tagged along for the ride. Not only this, but you should be fine. Like, I know the diabetes thing is like rough, but it is something you have a lot of experience with. You have a lot of care, help, and training to deal with yourself, and you were able to prepare for this like event. Now, if I was like there with you, and I wasn't there with my husband and kids, and you were like my main priority, I'd be more willing to help you through this. But it would be tied into a lesson that you should be able to do this by yourself. Now, your sister telling you to fuck off is like totally fine. You're not literally not her responsibility. She's doing you a favor by letting you come. Now, you shouldn't cut her off for the rest of your life for that. Now, that's like a kind of rough, sincere attitude that I think is well. I mean, me saying that to Rhea was basically one of the last times we talked. Um, Actually, immediately after that, she then was like, "Hey, can I send you photos of myself?" And I was like, "No." So it was both that and then me denying her fucking selfies, sexy selfies. But yeah, I would just assume by the way that Raiden talks to me, I don't know. He is kind of passive, but sometimes he can be like a little bit pushy, which is probably why they get along. To be blunt, because he seems a little bit calculated, just in the way that he seems to be like withholding things. But I'm the kind of person who aggravates people. Undeniably, I am, and I'm not even subtle about it. A lot of my aggressiveness is like brings people out who would never normally like yell at people, people who would never normally insult people. They do to me, bro. They fucking come at me. He has rapist aura. He does kind of. That's it. Like the passively getting you to come in, feel relaxed, blah 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 blah. I mean, 100,000 messages from her and then getting a few, sending half as many back is I don't know. He sent her so many less messages. It's actually wild. Oh, Raiden does. Sorry, I might have mixed up Raiden and Neorak a few times while I'm talking there. Raiden definitely has rapist energy. Raiden has like desperate, like throw yourself on a woman kind of energy. Um and like the weird lying and like the explanations of his emotions and all of that was like weird and desperate. Um Neo was solid before all this shit. Yeah, Neo. The only thing I've really seen wrong with Neo is that like there'll be other people who will be seemingly like pretty good, like they'll be like competent and smart and like okay with like this or like kind of funny, and he'll sort of just like play it off like they're not, and it's like oh that's kind of lame. But otherwise, like I like Neo quite, and I mean that's not like a super uncommon thing with him. Like Neo's like an IT dude who's pretty clued in, and I genuinely found him to be very therapeutic to talk to when I was super stressed out about all the Rhea stuff. Because he was just still okay with hanging out with me. He was um, willing just to talk about other things, and you know, he would still like want to listen to like my advice on other things and like this and that, you know, which is like just having like a normal life and normal conversations with people is pretty sick. Problems even getting caught up in any of this and taking it as a complete joke. Yeah, dude, I found myself sitting there for like 30 minutes just like letting it wash over me like the first like year or two in the server you know, everything just washed over me. Nothing really seemed as shit as like all of the other stuff going on. Uh and that's what this whole place was here for. I was just thinking if I had just like let like Rhea get cut off, cut that shit off straight away, even like laughed in her face, It would have been frustrating having her telling people that I like sexually harassed her, but ultimately it wouldn't have led to then people like trying to accuse me of like sexually harassing Star or like all this gay shit with the Thunderdome. The Thunderdome is fucking gay, but like I guess it's kind of better being distant old friends with them rather than actively having these retards like become like super frenzied at the sound of my name, right? What happened with the Star and Shabby shit? I don't know what happened with Shabby. I don't think anything happened with Shabby. I definitely, I think I messaged Shabby and was like, "Hey, you're super cute," but like that was about it. And then we talked about her being like autistic. I mean, I don't know if I messaged her like, "Hey, you're autistic," but then Shabby was like super grossed out that I was like leaking me and Ria's like private sex stuff. But on the same note, I think Shabby joined the server at like a point of like right as it all happened. So I think when like Dolphin and like other people were like defending me, they just assumed that Dolphin was like a man who was also like an incel and like this and that. Like these people have no clue what's going on, and just like immediately tapped into like, I'm leaking like real sexual shit, but she's like actively leaking mine as well as saying mine and hers doesn't happen, and I'm a sexual pervert. I don't know. Plus, I am telling her to go fuck herself. Like I do have to be a little bit brunt from like the hate from that. But then yeah, Shabby started trying to debate me about it like live in real time, and I remember being like, "I'm super overwhelmed. I'm getting dogpiled, and I'm just gonna mute you." So I don't know if I ever like ended up talking to Shabby. I definitely didn't like sexually come on to Shabby or hit on her at all. Um, we definitely did talk about her selfies though, because I genuinely am like, dude, Shabby is like peak, dude. It's like with Taken. No matter how much I fight against Taken, I'm not going to say that Taken isn't the hottest girl on the server. Like fuck. Oh, you just happen to be like a genetic anomaly who is like outrageously conventionally attractive. Like I'm not going to just call you ugly. Like fuck. It does kind of shock me how much Taken sort of lowered herself in her attacking of me though. That is ugly on the inside. And it definitely justifies like a lot of the shit that Spinboy said to her. I don't know how Spinboy got so clued into Taken. Like he would go so hard on her, and sometimes I used to feel that Taken attacking me was, like the silver lining was like, um, and I still feel this way a little bit. Like, hopefully, I can like make it up and turn our relationship into something more positive for like both of us and for her. And the way she attacks me is so sometimes like limp wristed and retarded, and I want her to do a good job moderating for a space that I enjoy. So like at least maybe I can get her to be less fucking retarded in her like attacks. But at this point, Taken just like escalated against me in a way where she degrades herself in the craziest way. Where like I'm sure people look at Taken and they're like, why is she just mocking like him for being raped? And like, why is she like spurging so hard about like something that's obviously fake? Like she got really upset about the dolphin thing, and it's like, yeah, well, you did just ban dolphin for no reason, hard permaban. And I think that's like a lot more with them banning me. I think people can categorize it as like, oh, he needs it for his mental health, which I do, but like it's my own decision to make, and like fuck them. They shouldn't like. I don't. I mean, like it's not like I broke those rules and this and that. She's treating it like a joke, rightfully so. Uh, Taken. It's not just like no. It's not just like a joke for her. Like a treating it like a joke and rightfully so would be great. She's treating it like an opportunity though, and like in doing so she'll like debase Rhea like really hard and then like attack me and then like acting like there's like no real like a victim or accountability or like this or that or whatever bullshit. But I mean I guess like I shouldn't expect too much of just a cool server. I definitely don't. I think it's like super gay that that Rhea came back, although I think it would have been way gayer when I was still in there and Rhea came back and everyone was like super nice to her and shit, or not super nice, like a bunch of people were actively nice to her and then would like frown at people who maybe wanted to like poke fun at her. I was like, now that is some unacceptable dog shit. Nah, cool. And then Justical was based enough. No, Meowdies was based enough to just ban her when she came back. And yeah, once again, I don't know what happened there. I don't really want to make an alt, and I don't think it would be good for my mental health to go make an alt or whatever. And even if I do get let back in, to go search back through the logs to see what those people are doing, because ultimately I shouldn't care about those people. But it would be interesting to see how aggressively people came at her, because apparently they mocked Rhea so hard that she left the server. But rightfully so. Like I said, like if I had to talk to Rhea again, I am at a position where I am pretty comfortably able to remove any sense of unintentionality to her actions. At which point, I can be a lot more brutal. I can actually unleash like being like witty against her. Like I should give her like clapback for the manipulative like gas. Because I mean, like a lot of the shit that she thinks is super manipulative, like I would see right through. Not saying it doesn't work, but it only works because I'm like actively giving her the benefit of the doubt. Like, hey, maybe you're having a mental breakdown. Maybe you are struggling with your rape shit. Maybe you are getting like harassed by this man or that man. Yada yada yada. Like when we were actually dating, and I was like, I need to make this work. And then eventually I was like, well, I can't. So we're gonna break up. But I would be able to engage with her a lot more like I did with a girlfriend I had. It's a lot different when you're living with someone. So a girlfriend I actually lived with used to tell me that like her dad raped her, and that she had been like sold off to like an Indian man who impregnated her, and then they had an abortion, and then the kid was going to be reincarnated as like a llama, so like llamas came to their house and yada. Eventually I just started laughing in her face and being like pretty brutal with her, and it got her to pull her shit together like real hard. um that being said, I'm not anyone in Rhea's life. I don't have any responsibility to her. There's no reason to think that like I should be trying to or should have any effect on her. And I mean, it's the same with Taken. Like, Taken was just being gay as shit about her feminism, and I was just like, how dare you like fucking attack other people for being feminism when you don't practice it yourself? And it was wrong of me to like fucking critique her on something so close to her. But also, who gives a fuck what I think about that? And that's what I followed it up with her. I was like, you shouldn't give a fuck about me saying that shit. But it turns out she does. She like personally held it against me. She decided to use all my personal shit about me. She decided to mock me for like my life, lie to the fucking server about me, do all kinds of shit. Um, you were asking about the star and the Shabby thing though. Like, so like Shabby ends up like seeing this from Taken, so Shabby ends up getting like a worse point of view, and these people get a little bit confused. They don't really know what's going on, and then they're sort of pulled into this fucking terrible situation of, or it's not terrible for them. It's just like weird, where they're ignorant and they have no way out, and their ignorant beliefs get confirmed by manipulative actors like Taken. Um, with Star, on the other hand, I'm not gonna lie, my ego over Rhea was like pretty fucked up. I was like trying to blow off steam, blah blah blah. I was like flirting with Star a couple of times, and one time I was flirting with her. I said to her, me and a few other people, like I was talking to, I think I was talking to lawyer girl. What's her name? Whatever. And we went off into we merged servers, and people were like, Star, you look so great. And I was like, yeah, damn Star, you're looking great, man. I bet you're causing some people fucking problems. Anyway, I gotta go. And then I left. And then when I left, I saw her look at her camera and go like that. And it made me laugh, and then I left. And then she messages me about it later, and apparently they were in that call after I left gaslighting. And the way they retell it is that what I said was, damn, you're looking so good, you're causing my problems, and now I need to go fix my problems by having a wank. Like, they'll even make it like so explicit that they explain it that way. So they'll literally basically tell people, they won't tell people that I said, I'm going to go have a wank over you, but they will say, what he said was that he was going to go fix his problems by having a wank. And I was like, no, I needed to go, and before I left, I fucking complimented you, right? And I know I made that provocative and funny and whatever, but to fucking attack me with this random bullshit at a time which is like incredibly inconvenient for me, I get it that you guys are like looking for any drama, but that is bullshit. And then Justical ended up hearing about it, and he said on stream that like I've been weird to people in DMs, which maybe this was about Shabby or something. I don't know if Shabby's been talking shit, but again, that's super gay. If I would just leak all of mine in Shabby's DMs. If I had to, because it would prove that I wasn't fucking with people. But then again, it would just satisfy people into being like, oh, he did this or he did that. Plus, it's not a good look if I just keep having to leak DMs. But equally, it shouldn't be a very good look on Shabby to be like attacking me over shit that she knows nothing about, and also to be like talking about mine in her DMs or anything, especially if like I haven't been weird in them. Um, but Star ended up messaging me, and I mean I haven't leaked any of me and Star's DMs either. Um, but let me see if I can find. Star ended up messaging me. I think me and her had like a few DMs in the past as well. Um, and she goes, "Hey Chris, I just want to be real with you and let you know that while I'm okay with being flirty or compliments, the explicit sexual stuff makes me highly uncomfortable." And I like wasn't super. I mean, and that like I don't think in either of our stories there was like either explicit sexual stuff between us. Oh no, wait, I had, I had intentionally said some explicit sexual shit, but that was like a few weeks before this, and we had cleared that up, and it was like a bit. It's not like an acceptable bit. It's not a funny bit, but contextually, I was already someone who was like getting attacked for like all this crazy shit and yada yada yada. Um, but it was totally fine, and like we'd gotten over it. So she reframes this shit from the past right there, which is rough. And now again, I don't like blame or attack Star for this. I think she's been a little bit snarky recently, which is super fucking gay, considering we like cleared this up. And essentially, it makes me like have to talk about this stuff again. Which again, also her boyfriend is like being weird. I don't really know him or know much about him though. I just think he might be weird and parasocial, which would make sense because I didn't even know who he was. And then I remember seeing he's a mod, and then I remember seeing him in Just Cause Chat for the first time, and he had donated like $1,000, or like more than that in New Zealand dollars, like a lot of New Zealand dollars. I guess it's maybe not quite $1,000 in American dollars. It's definitely funny to say to him like thousands of dollars, but yeah, Maximus. I don't know. It seems like a bit like I don't know, especially after I go to the effort to like show good faith and like I'm like, hey, I want things to be fine, and like even when bro, this is hold up.
Ooh, wait, we could also do like.
Oh, I thought this was the part where I was like lying on the ground. I was like, there's this like fucking. Oh wait, maybe I am lying on the ground. He like flirts with me really aggressively, and I'm like on my ground screaming, crying, like, "There's this girl in my room." Anyway, um, where was I in this other yarn? Max has been around for ages. Real, I never like noticed him. Um, it's weird how some people are like that. I just fully don't notice them. Maybe it's not weird though. Like I'm definitely the kind of person to just stick in my direct line of sight. I'm not like a super snoopy weird fucking freak like a lot of these people are. Um, yeah, Max was making fun of me in Justicle's chat, like, oh, at least I lived with the girl that I'm like meant to be with, and yada yada yada. And I was like, I broke up with her, or like, do I need to? I don't even really need to explain, like I'm happy for you, but like I don't. It doesn't really that kind of. And I know that's an insult, but it doesn't really overlap onto like what I want or what I'm doing, so I won't take it personally. Uh, and like I went out of my way to be like supportive of you and your girlfriend, and equally your girlfriend is telling me it's okay for me to flirt with her, and um it, I should really get to the like what actually happened with this anyway, because Star, I think I started hearing about it from other people. Yeah, wait, so yeah, anyway, well that thing happens with Star, and then a few days later and it's in right it's this is actually, yeah, this is on the 16th of the 7th. So this would be at some of my peak stress levels over the Rhea stuff, and I've still not publicly said that me and her were together. I have had the conversation with you and Richard and Dung and Shellboner and Cyclone. Um, we might have gotten Cyclone kicked out around this time as well, but it's right around there in the middle of the 7th month of the year, which is May. June, July, so it's in the middle of the July. And yeah, so yeah, she's like, oh, the explicit sexual stuff is making me uncomfortable, which again, like, hadn't happened for like weeks. I prefer if you would stop doing that. Like when you came into VC and said you have nice tits and a fat ass. Okay, so there's the thing. Which, yeah, very uncomfortable. At the time, though, it isn't just like what that sounds like. In the past, like when that did happen, it was like, yeah, but you know I'm joking, and like, hey, I hope you're okay. And like, I checked in to be like, I know who you are. You're not like a underage person. You're not weird. Like, you know this is a bit. Yada yada yada. Um, it's not really acceptable, but it's also not like the way it sounds. Um, and then she's like, I would appreciate if you didn't make any more explicit remarks along those lines. Also, I know you find me attractive, which is fine, but also it makes me uncomfortable when you are again very explicit. Once again, just to say, like, she had been actively flirting with me and been okay with like me and her flirting back and forth together. So this statement is a bit like contradictory and like removing some sort of agency from herself. But equally, I think I'm not going to reprimand her for these statements as much as I should. It's just like, if she's leaking this and showing this to people, which I get the feeling she definitely has, because people are saying that I've been weird in DMs, and maybe I need to like show this, is I don't. It's just very, very not cool, very gay. Um, and then yeah, so she says. So then she describes what she thinks happened here. Also, if you find me attractive, which is fine, but also make me uncomfortable when you're again very explicit about what that does to you. Um, like when you said during the Baldur's Gate 3 campaign VC that my looks were causing you issues and that you needed to leave and go take care of them, which isn't what happened. It was like a passing phrase. It's not like a common statement, but it's like it's a phrase that I've used like a bunch of times. Like, she's causing people problems, dude. She's making problems. I did that, right? And then she's like, it made me feel gross, and I can imagine it would make you feel gross, if I had then said I was going to go have a wank, which I didn't say that. But like, yeah, that is what they will say happened. But what happened off of this was that then I start hearing from people that I was doing this in her DMs privately, or that like I was admitting to it in the DMs, or you know, people were saying that there was weird stuff going on in DMs, which did not happen. Maybe I'd have to go look over the shabby stuff, and maybe it's weirder than I remember. But definitely not with Star. It's definitely very fucking chill. That made me feel very gross, and again made other people in the VC uncomfortable, as has been mentioned to me. And those other people are like Friggy and fucking Biggie Cheese was in a Baldur's Gate 3 campaign. A few other people. I don't really know what their takes are. I'm assuming she misheard and then maybe asked them, and then they were like, I don't know, yeah, I guess. And I assume that like after a wee while of thinking about it, people just sort of fall into agreeing with each other and then thinking that confirms what happens, even if it didn't or did or did not. Um, I went to reply to this and was like, oh, hey, like, what's up? Like, thinking we are all good. And then I, like, read, like, the first line, like, hey, like, I just want to know if you're feeling uncomfortable. The explicit system makes me uncomfortable. And I was like, I'm way too stressed out to read this. So I was like, hey, I hope you're okay. I only read the first line of this, but I got to go make dinner. And based off the rest of this, uh, that's, like, super fucked up. I hope you didn't fucking start saying this publicly. Because, like, obviously, I don't want to fucking have to deal with that right now. And people would go nuts over it. And I had to say this to her later. And then I come back from dinner, and oh, she had sent me other messages, and we had talked about other stuff. I think that I still hadn't replied to either. So I think I replied to that. I'm like, I'm not going to read all this, like, and I need time to think about it. I'm super stressed out. And then I replied to some other stuff. Let me just read that real quick. We're just talking about like my stream. I guess she was asking about some issue, and I was like, oh, I talked about that on stream. Most people have bad takes, and almost nobody is bothered saying this thing that I think you have a good take on. What I'm saying to her, and then I'm like, okay, I just read it. I'm not going to reply to that in the DMs. I would love to talk to you about it, and midnight, so I'm going to sleep. Oh, it gets to midnight, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to sleep. So 5 hours later, I'm like, hey, you haven't replied, and like, I'm going to sleep. But if you want to talk about this soon, you can. And then a week later, she still hasn't like hit me up about it. So I just messaged her like, hey, just so you know, like, I'm never going to come like hang out with you again in VCs. Like, I don't feel at all comfortable like with you hitting me with this and then not talking to me about it. I guess by this time I've also like heard some shit from other people, but I don't know if it's about her. Like, you know, it's all vague and it's wrong. Like, you know, Justical says this shit on stream that I'm like being weird in DMs. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, thank you for just fucking my reputation over shit that has never happened and I've actually been super solid on. Do I need to e-fuck a bunch of these women and for it to go okay to improve my reputation? Or do I just need to like keep telling them like, hey, like, no, thank you. Like this shit with, even the worst case of this shit with Star, I'm saying it's not good. And even if it happened, it's like not really that awful either. It's not like I was actually e-sexting her in the DMs or doing anything weird like this. It's literally just a VC call where everyone's joking around, right? So it's rough. It's really rough the way she handled this. So she takes massive offense to this, where I'm like, hey, just so you know, like, you don't have to care about this, and we can talk whenever you want, and the ball's in your court, and that can be totally fine. But regardless of anything that happens, I'm not saying that you have to change your behavior. You don't have to avoid me, but I would just prefer not to be around you. So I'm going to change my behavior by staying away from you. And then, like, a month or two later, oh, and then 3 or 4 days later, I message her again, like, hey, like, but like, seriously, if you want to talk, like, I just say, do you want to talk about Star 11? Which I don't know, maybe, I don't know why I say that. I'm probably having a mental breakdown here because there's no punctuation. I talk in third person about her to her. So, yeah, I just sent her a single line on the 25th of July, 3 days later. But yeah, then I end up in a VC with her and a bunch of other people, and I have to repeatedly say to her, like, hey, dude, like, 20 people just joined this VC as soon as we started talking about this. I can't remember who it was who probably Stasi or someone fucking posts it in Gen Chat, like, hey, get in, guys, like, hey, it's happening. Like, you know, something's happening. So I just end up having to say to her, like, you know, I don't know how much you want to go into this. Like, these people are just here to laugh at you. And she ends up, like, retelling the whole thing. And it makes me, like, really, like, ugh, like, when I hear the retelling that I disagree with. But there's essentially only just one thing that I just disagree with. And it's just the whole, like, you said that I looked really fine and was causing you problems and that you needed to go have a wank. And I'm like, I didn't even, I was just like, ugh. And luckily, like, she wasn't being malicious or anything. She was being, like, really nice and talking about her feelings and getting it off her chest. And, like, that's awesome. But just not doing that in front of all these people who are super desperate for like any sort of information. And then especially like Shabby was really fucking dirty, and so was Steve. Steve was really fucking dirty. Like, I think you were there and a bunch of people were there when I was like, guys, like, I'm not actually as vindictively attacking Rhea as much as I could or want to. In fact, from my point of view, I'm trying not to loop on this. I'm stressed out. I'm definitely involved. And, you know, you guys make me out to be someone who is like doxing her or all of that. And, you know, I could, but I'm not going to. And like, I don't go that hard. And like, I'm always telling you guys not to do this. And Steve and Shabby were both like, are you about to dox him? What the fuck? And a bunch of people in that call were like, what the fuck is wrong with you girls? Shellboner said it too, but everyone knows what's wrong with Shell. But they were like, he literally just said the opposite of what you are now broadcasting. And now and I was like, dude, like, can Steve and Shabby, like, you are like filthy people for like acting this way. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And yeah, like, that actually did get back to Rhea when I finally started talking to Rhea again. It turns out that fucking Steve fully sent that straight back to Rhea, even after everyone in that call clarified that shit with her. Not only this, but like, when I was hammered again, I don't know, I've been meaning to check it on this with like Stasi or someone, but Steve was like talking to me about leaking shit to Stasi, and I was like, I don't know. Stasi watched the Rhea Manifesto before it came out, and I hit him up for some advice just because he was like awake at the time. And I've known Stasi for a long time, and it's been like wishy washy, but like fairly consistent, which is like that's a good person to me. That's what you look for. Not someone like Lee or Taxi or Ria who like love bombs you and then fucks you over or this or that. Stasi is just enjoying himself as long as he thinks it's funny. Yeah, I could not believe what a fucking cunt Steve was. Funny thing, Rick told me that he was coming to New Zealand to fuck Steve, and then simultaneously Steve and Amumu were flirting like aggressively in DMs. And another weird thing, like 6 or 7 of the women have all told me Steve is beautiful. And now I don't know if it's like a patronizing thing because women don't normally do that. Women are competitive with other women. What I think is that Steve probably is beautiful, but she's ginger. So and is self conscious, and then nah. I mean, there was a girl in my high school who was like that. Her close friends would be like really reaffirming that she was like handsome and good looking, and this girl was super shy. She was tall, long ginger hair, and quite pretty. And I was friends. Like my best friends were like girls, and my best friends would like be really supportive of her and constantly tell her she was beautiful. But that's sort of like the only time in my life I ever really genuinely saw that from other women. Um, I that's why I'm allowed to speak on it. Yeah, I think being ginger is pretty rough when you're younger. Um, I always thought that like it's probably not that way for girls, but meeting that girl who was like super shy and stuff, yeah, or knowing her growing up, not meeting her, I knew her growing up. Um, yeah, it was like I can't deny that that might have been part of it. Um, that being, I don't know though. Steve, like, I mean, Steve lent me money one day because like my internet bill was about to hit, and I just wouldn't have internet for like a week and a half or whatever. Um, and she was like, "Hey, like, here's like $30. Like, you don't even have to pay me back." And I was like, "Jesus!" And I know you like definitely helped me out at times when I was like fucking starving and stuff, right? So you know how much of a scrub I am or a scab. Um, but I don't know, like, so that was like super genuine of Steve in that. But then like yeah, seeing Steve be it's like gaslighting to me, like because I'm like, how did you just mishear what I said so bad? But then seeing a bunch of other people be like, how did she mishear that so bad? It's like, oh, she didn't mishear it. Like this is actually just like intentionally like being so shit. And I could chalk it up to like you're too shy to apologize or you don't have the charisma or this or that, but you totally fucking do. And you definitely deserve or you owe some sort of like explanation for like how you could be so fucked up with that. And then for me to later on fucking hear from Rhea herself that yeah, Rhea would like talk about Steve and talk about like how Steve was like really close with her and like on her side and blah 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 blah. And then fucking start talking about like this and that. I mean, Rhea did that with a bunch of people. She would like talk about Ryle Kittenhouse. I mean, she would do it with like kind of anyone. She'd be like, Ryle was like absolutely shitting on you, and I'd be like, well, what did he say? And he'd be like, Ryle was asking me like, how did you not know that Chris was like going to react this way, or that he was like not like as hinged as he could be? And I was like, that's not Ryle shitting on me. He's just correct. Rhea, I said to you when we were dating, hey, like I'm not really looking. I've been fucking hurt by women in the past. I'm not looking for casual relationships as well. It's totally fun. We can leave. I definitely want to like be in a more serious relationship. And like, like I'm super nervous about even talking to a woman. So it's been fun flirting with you, but we should stop. And the reason I was nervous about it is because like, I don't want to get hurt again and blah, blah, blah. So Rhea, like I massively explained to you how like scary and vulnerable I am going into the situation. Now it's like I went in there and I did it, but for you to pretend that like Ryle is like not saying something incredibly obvious and instead trying to manipulate or attack me or like do anything, That's very fucking validating of him to say. And in fact, the more people who ask her, like, why did you act this way? Why the fuck did you? Why the fuck are you pretending? And then Stasi bullying Taxi and Rhea and like watching them fold when they did the VC is funny, dude. I wish there was a recording of it so bad. Because it's very funny, but like watching everyone just be like, dude, you were fucking him after this. And I mean, even there's like I put so much work into the Rhea Festo and stuff that there are big parts of it that I left out, like, but it's like really good parts of it that maybe I should have put back in. Looking back on it now that I've had time, because it's like going over the Goonagate thing, and then cross-referencing that with all of her chat messages from that night, is her just being incredibly sexual in Justicle's Gen chat, as well as like she was like, oh, for the past week or so, Crisp, I've been saying that like I don't want to be sexualized on the internet. So like that opens it up to being like, well, like now I'm like fully able to compare that to your behavior over the past week to everyone, including to me. Like, like you were just literally like e-sexting me and yada yada yada. But then then we go in and we see her talking about her wet pussy, talking to Zolta about this and that, like yada yada yada. Not to mention like the shit in the Thunderdome now, like literally pretending to date a pimp in order to spite me. When I've already broken up with her, I'm still in her DMs being like, hey, like I'm not in love with you. We were friends. It'd be nice to be friends. Like when you're trying to tell me now that like she just started saying to me now like we're friends again, and it's so like, oh, it's like you're trying to manipulate me into thinking that we're friends again. I like I'm like talking to you about like the structure and the growing process, and like you don't just be like, oh, are we friends now? Yeah. So essentially though, like no matter how hard I roast her with like those comparisons and shit, it doesn't fucking work. But it would have been more entertaining for people, right? Because none of this shit matters. Rhea's right in one thing, she's just here to have fucking fun. For me, bonding and getting closer to people and feeling genuinely comfortable and happy and awesome, becoming relaxed into myself and learning how to do that better by being in a safe environment without being stressed out, which inevitably causes more problems and like a cascade failure. That's kind of where I'm thinking about coming for fun. For her, it was hanging out with like literal pimps, flirting with like fucking Don Vader and Rick, who, actively let everyone know that they're like totally fucked and seem to be like mentally ill, fucking manipulative retards themselves. Like, I couldn't shit on those people more. But the Rhea Festo could have been way funnier. I guess like making it less vindictive would have been good so that people. To be fair though, Shabby and Steve and like all of that fucking crew were. Actually, I didn't think. I think I messaged Shabby right after the Rhea Festo, so I think me and her were good. No, maybe not though, because I definitely remember having to mute her in VCs because I was like, I'm getting dogpiled, and then you're attacking me over stuff. You're attacking me way too hard about things that don't make sense because you're new to the space and you have no idea what's going on. You have to know that like, and it's even like Taken would attack me and Shabby would just like take her side, and I'd be like, Shabby, like I've known this girl for like years. Like, when Taken like outrageously attacks me with like no nonsensical shit, it's not just like a random event that happens. This is someone who has like a wealth of information and knowledge and acceptance of like what I really feel and think and the way I act, and they're throwing that all out the window to like act this way and like to give me like nothing and also be like as horrible as possible. Yeah, I mean, I blocked Taken on everything, and I messaged her before I blocked her though, and was like, like I know that it annoys you to see me around, but like you can just not be fucked, or like you can accommodate me and like I can try to give you space if you be like accommodating to that. And I just see her in kick chat, and she was just like, "Fuck off, Crisp. I hope you fucking kill yourself tonight." And I'm like, "Oh wow, like a mod." on kick in the side chat telling me to kill myself. I'm sure that's really good for like this channel's lifespan. Like, what the fuck? So I'm like, I'm just gonna have to block you, and now you're gonna have to put up with me seeing me in there chatting whenever you want. You know. And I don't know what Justical plans to do about it. If he plans on telling her to shut the fuck up, or if he's gonna ban me. I feel like Taken just probably said to him like, "Hey, it's either like me or Crisp, so like don't host Crisp and like don't support him and yada yada yada." Which would then be like actively like taking away from him. So it depends how much he thinks she actively provides. I mean, he mockingly, but I don't think she probably saw it as mocking, says that she's like the moral backbone of his mod team, which is super fucking funny. Because, you know, like the whole position is about being like morally ambiguous, like, and then that's how you become more and more dedicated, more and more time invested. The true moral imposition is that you should be spending less of your time on the internet, less of your time on streams. You should be getting in cardio, the relationships, the real life fucking exposure, so that you can be like a good role model for the people around you. Unironically, dude. Morality's fucking fun to play around with. Anyway, solid like 2-hour rant. I'll put it out on YouTube. Who are the 6 people who are always in here? You know, I used to wonder. I guess it's always been partly you, Full Hell. I always assumed one of them was Dung Devil, and the numbers like haven't gone down. So I assume I still actually have that guy's love and support. Actually, nah. On the other hand, I think even though he was like definitely my best friend, biggest supporter, great guy, I still feel like he is actually so engaged with his real life and a lot of other things that he doesn't just like always have the tab popped open. Although maybe he could because it's low effort. It's interesting. It's interesting. He's definitely got the crazy ADHD, but he's so fucking good at categorizing multiple tasks into a level which I assume are becoming like more streamlined and easier due to his ability to like synthesize neurotypical and productive patterns of behavior due to increased IQ, despite the fact of fucking ADHD and stuff. We got shit going on. What do you mean we got, who got shit going on? I should probably go get some shit going on as well anyway. It's 6 p.m. We could speculate a little bit on what Justical's been up to. Let's go have a look. I chucked a kick chat message. Yeah, dude, how funny is it that Rick was excitedly telling me that he was going to sleep with a New Zealander after Steve like joined Thunderdome. I definitely got drunk and brought it up to her in chat and Justical's chat. I've been in the offline chat talking shit. Nice. Good. So you saw my comment that I hope Justical is word on the street is that he's off making a Bogdanov suit, like a full-on cosplay, so that he can meet us all in public, right? I thought that was pretty funny. Bro for real called out of work. Wait, where's my message? Oh, there it is. Okay, good. Jesus, there's been a lot of chat in here since I last talked. Word on the street is that Justical spent 30k making a 9-foot tall Bogdanov suit so he can do public appearances. We got Nemo, we got Peter Prosperity, Hooligans. Hooligan shows up in my chat sometimes, which is nice. Iriaku, which, you know, sounds kind of like a Kiwi name, but really it could just be anywhere in the world. Thanks for letting us know. Are you going to show us the wedding pics? Stingerling, yes. I mean, I had a rant on stream about it as well, that, like, yeah, Justical shouldn't be taking my advice. And I think we all sort of know that, like, streamers should be consistent to keep their numbers up and this and that. He can study his own analytics and make the best decision for it. But a few days off would be good for him. Real life, super amazing bonding experiences with Cherry are literally definitely something he should be paying attention to. He shouldn't be like me, where you end up falling into this thing of thinking like, oh, I had a great relationship with Rhea. It's definitely a time that I thought that. You know, I just fell into the default of thinking that. Like, no, you need to be really having these like great moments. Moments I had with her were like good considering the circumstances, but not like amazing. And they were really surrounded by way too many shit ones, which is why it didn't last. Why I fucking was like done with it. You know? Unfortunate. It was hard moving on. I mean, fuck. May was hard because of the actual mindfuck, bro. Fucking taxi, bro. Fucking taxi. May was so annoying thinking that I'd actually like fucked up something or whatever. I mean, how did she even get me to feel so bad about that? I backed away from the relationship. Well, yeah, it was just that like, it was literally just my friends like ghosting me and shit, right? I mean, yeah, they were actually just horrible. Thanks for the follow, newbie streamer. That is a awfully botlock name. Shocked he hasn't offed himself yet? Yeah. Honestly, if there was someone who should be worried about me living near them, it would be him. Then he would accidentally off himself. Where is this Brugger? Sorry, I'm just reading Justicool's Gen chat. Justicool says tomorrow night. He already said earlier like he would be back tomorrow night, but I guess like the chat moves and flows by. Maximus is in it. Dude, Maximus does. I don't want to be so like anti him. The shit with his girlfriend is annoying. His weird snark is annoying, especially considering the consideration I give them for it. Like I put a lot of effort into giving the consideration. But Maximus is like prolific for just talking about other random shit in chat. And he came into my chat the other day. When Justical raided me, I was like, I couldn't help but laugh because there was a time, like Taken's has been weird for like a long time. And she would just type in Justical chat like, no, like with big N-O, no, don't raid Crisp. And it made me giggle so hard, and I didn't want to like name her, so I was like, oh, the mods would be laughing, la la la. And then Maximus came in and just assumed it was about him. And then he started like attacking me for having main character syndrome. And I was like, bro, I know it's an insult, but like you don't get it. It's not weird. I'm sorry, like you're offended over this and that. Oh man, dude. Sorry, I'm just venting too much. Every day I gotta contend with the fact I watch a VTuber. Dude, I misread that at first. And thought it was literally Justical saying every day I have to contend with the fact that I am a VTuber. I'm not gonna lie, I might reinvent my channel. I found a streamer called Sparkle Fart, and she has the same Snapchat software. There's Tarkov Potato, Burnt Peanut, and Sparkle Fart, and they all use the Snapchat filter to be potatoes or peanuts or whatever. And it like floats around on the screen. It's got their actual eyes and mouth. It's way fucking cooler. I don't think you need a green screen for it either. I've spent a bit of time trying to find the software for it, but it's depreciated Snapchat software. It's all I know, and I'm not still not too sure where to get it. I should be able to get it. Though that genuinely made me laugh. It made me fucking laugh. Oh man, that shit is good. My mouth. Can you hear my mouth getting drier and drier and drier? You know what happened? I took that fucking second half of my Ritalin dose at like 2 hours ago at like 4 o'clock at 4:15. Now it's 6:15, baby. We're fucking cooking. Maybe all that complaining about the Ritalin was retarded. Maybe it does work. Yeah, real thoughts off the top of the dome. Chicka, waka, rock the microphone, yo. Freestyler, wink, wink. Freestyle, wink, wink. Wicca. Dude, I don't know. It must be when I was younger and I would riff. I was a riff god, and I could do it on command like so much harder. 18-year-old Crisp. I mean, 18-year-old Crisp was in Germany, like fully committed to being like a fucking busboy, having 2 jobs, doing lawyering while supporting like a needy girlfriend. of a wannabe. Well, he wasn't a wannabe. He was literally a multimillionaire. Her dad was great, to be honest. Probably the coolest family I've ever dated into. But the disparity between like me and the lifestyle and cultural difference and everything was fucking huge. But if I was younger, dude, I would have been a little bit more relaxed, or not so fucking shell shocked as I am now, which would have been more enthusiastic, more energy, more creativity. Boom, 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 boom. It's very crazy going back and reading my journal and looking at my diary and looking at how much more of like a locked in person I was like back then. But then equally not locked in enough. There were definitely a lot of people in high school who would bully me that I would, you know, when you like graduate school and they put a book out with a picture and then like a quote beneath it, and a lot of people, that wasn't like something we do here. So like a small council of students like organised that, and as such, like not many people went to vote for. Basically, like someone would like write like a quote, and then people would like vote for the quote. And now I never went to look at like what mine were, or I didn't vote for other people's, and yada yada yada. What happened was like 10 or so students who were actually like meant to be kind of like friends of mine, but I lived in like a large clique, where I hung out in like a large clique of like 30, 40 students, and there was definitely like the cool kid section of those who were like kind of cunts, like cutie Cinderella type and Mizkif type, and you know. And those like 10 students put in like the harshest, like most fucked up ones for a bunch of people, and then they voted for them all. And all that took was like 6 or 7 votes from these people for like each of these quotes, and then a bunch of them got it. The retard schizo friend of mine, like who I have a lot of stories about, his one was literally like most likely to like grow up and be a rapist. And so he read that and like lost his mind. I didn't show up to my graduation shit. Again, like I grew up way too fast, and I like, you know, like I definitely did my year 13. Actually, I think I went to Germany literally like as soon as I finished my school exams. I was like, you know, locked in, did not want to fucking be here. But I definitely disappeared like that, like out of like everyone's life, which is pretty funny when I graduated. People said that to me when they saw me like 5 or 6 years later. Like everyone else like spent their last summer together, and then they went off to uni and yada yada yada. I just gone. But I'm not the kind of person to say goodbye either. I mean, I'm not. I was never that close to anyone. Very not sentimental. Not from a sentimental family. Great song. 3 out of 10. But yeah, my one that these fucking mean people, the meanest thing, but like the meanest harsh truth or whatever, that they, you know, they're riffing like a bunch of people. My one was like most likely to just fuck up every challenge presented to him. And it was like, it just turns out to be like actually kind of true. And it's like, I didn't even realize I had ADHD at that point, right? It's like completely unmedicated. But like for them, it's like I was a house captain and my house came fucking last. It was super fucking, it is like, I don't know. I tried real hard. I did a good job, you know. This and that. What else? I mean, I had a lot of good things going for me, but I think when people want to like farm you and like look for like things, they like come at you and stuff. I think it was mainly just the house captain thing. And I think the house captains had to do a lot of challenges versus each other, and I fucked up a few of those like throughout the year as well. One of them we had to like remember pie, and I remember the girl who was like the most popular cool girl, did like the cutie Cinderella. But equally she was like well liked. But I guess that's the whole point, right? She could be pretty smart sometimes, and she remembered like pie all the way up to. She remembered like 200 digits of pi. Or not digits, like 200, or was it digits of pi? Sorry, it's not pi, it's the Fibonacci sequence. She remembered like 200 like units of the Fibonacci sequence. So she was like in like the tens of millions. She was like rattling off big fucking numbers. They had like an A4 sheet of paper, and she did all of it, and then they had to like look up like the next like few ones. And she was my next door neighbor as well, which was funny. But me and her were like pretty close when we were like 12, 13. And then when we were like 14 or 15, we were both in like the popular group in school. And that was definitely a point where she talked to me about it. She was like, oh yeah, like these people aren't like us, right? Like, because and she actively started talking to me about how she was aware that we were like cool ones because we were, you know, like more smart, more athletic. I definitely had like a more leadership personality, so I like ended up getting into that role. Plus I was like very funny, shit like that, blah blah blah. But equally, by the time I was 14 or 15, like I had already been grilled pretty hard by my family to be like, you're an adult now, and like you need to be like getting a job. We're not here to listen to your fucking problems. Like those aren't reality. Which I don't know why my family is like that. Like it's not like we were under financial trouble or anything like that. It was literally just that like my family is like kind of fucking toxic, and they just couldn't deal with like each other's problems, or they didn't want to help out, you know, yada yada yada. And on top of that, it was like mine. And then plus it comes back to like other, like that ends up causing problems where it's like, you know, like oh, you're like taking your stress out on me, but you're making it look like it's because I didn't do my homework. But I did do my homework, and then also you're getting in the way of like doing more of my homework. And then like my other brother like stole a fucking bunch of money off me, and my other sister has like run away from home and is now like fucking hanging out with gang members, and like and you're trying to make it like me not doing my homework is like the problem here. Like what the fuck? How about we just break these things down into little tasks and deal with them? Nah, none of that shit happened. Yeah, spiritually abandoned, definitely. And funnily enough, like we did still go to church, like occasionally. That fell off actually a little bit when I was like 12 or 13, I think. Which might have been due to public reputation, because of like my sisters like maybe more publicly being recognized as like being fuck ups, which is like, you know, I mean, it's strange actually. I think one of my sisters was just born bad, but she was equally like the favorite, but she fell off the hardest. And you would think, yeah, I mean, actually, it's a bit of a twist, because as the favorite, you know, I definitely think it's really good for a dad to be like really close to his daughters. I think my dad just has a limited capacity for that, so even when he fully overcommitted to one daughter, it's still not like super competent and adequate. And because she ended up getting pregnant very young, to like probably like one of the worst, like I mean definitely the worst person she could find. Like the biggest, he's just a career criminal, like outright, and still is. And he was like pretty rough to even his own son, and yada yada yada. I mean, it's surprising the amount of awful men my sisters can date. Dude, even when my other sister, the favourite sister ran off and got pregnant for him at like a very young age, and then immediately afterwards the other sister followed suit, probably intentionally, to like get validation, or just to, I think that's just what she did. She just copied the other one's situation, which is surprising because she was the older one. The older one would copy the younger one. But when that sister is older, when the eldest sister, by the time she was like 20, it must have been like 26, 27, and then the favourites, sorry, part of the point here is that you would think that these girls would, or what girls need is like a good father so they can learn what men to like get respect and go after, what men to get respect from and to respect. And the one who was like born as like a, she's violent, she's angry, she's manipulative, she is very amoral and like selfish. And I think that can be like trained out of people, like, because she married a really nice guy who is definitely the kind of person you should respect and should look up to. The other sister ends up having 2 children. She, like, again, even as like a 25, 26-year-old, I think is still emulating that other sister. Or it's still the right thing to do. Obviously, this is like the right life, is to like get married, have kids, blah blah blah. It's not a bad thing to think. But when your motivation is by comparison, then that's like not great. She ends up, even as like an older one, having 2 kids with like this like fucking loser, like country bumpkin, low IQ, kinda. I think this guy ended up having a kid with like a 15-year-old as well. So yeah, weird shit. I'm just saying, it's crazy that sister, even after growing up, I mean, yeah, when you're like 15 or 16, I don't expect you to have good taste in men, but then by the time you're 25 and 26, and you literally pick like some hillbilly inbred fucking weird family, then that's fucking weird. But then again, dude, like that sister, that sister fucked around a lot, fucked a lot of married men, fucked a lot of just losers, fucked a lot of beast gang members and shit. I don't know. We don't even have like competent gang members here. Gang members here aren't gang members, they're just losers. Why would you need to improve if God will always forgive you? That's actually like literally like my mum is like literally like kind of insane. And it's literally that. But it wears down on the soul. Like the mind can't actually handle not earning forgiveness, right? Can't always just be like, but I had good intentions, so like I must be fine. Eventually, like people like my fucking mum or whatever, they need to invent reasons for why they were so upset. It's not just that they are like trying their best and they're a good person and life was tough, and that like even though they made a mistake, like it was fucked up. Eventually they have to be like, no, that mistake was made because of this or that, and they end up like, you know, like overreacting in order to like create like retroactive reasons for, I mean, fucking we're talking about Rhea here. The funny thing with Rhea is like the morality thing came down to I just want to have fun, but then this other stuff came in where she kind of was genuinely playing into, but nothing is real, nothing is serious. But she would talk to me about like magic, like how the ghosts are real and things from the past, and how she was like casting like evil spells at me because she was angry at me, and then therefore that like justified, but like morality isn't real, right? Like, no, ghosts and the natural forces of the universe should hate on you, Crispy, and side with me because I'm upset because you made me upset, and then therefore that makes it okay. So dude, if magic was real or God was real or morality was real, like shouldn't there be some sort of yeah, like it just did get crazy. Like when she kept telling me like I'm burning a candle in your name, and I ended up being like, what are you talking about? And that's funny because I've read heaps of shit on like Wiccan this and Wiccan that, and I guess it's been a long time since I read that shit as a kid. I mean, I was raised in church, right? When I abandoned my Christianity, I had to like diffuse like what was the gay magic bullshit and what was real. I eventually pulled myself away from studying gay shit, and I just leaned into philosophy. And I mean, like Hinduism and that is actually logically a lot more sound. So there are other things that are like supernatural. Although I don't know if I would call it supernatural, I would just call it like intangible, like you can't quite like get the grips on it, but if it logically is sound and it's more logically sound than like anything else, then that's like pretty great. But yeah, the gay magic bullshit. Yeah, I mean there's even a logical use for like tarot as far as like intuition and this and that. But just assuming that you have like magical powers and that ghosts are like influencing you actively like this or that, like I'm just saying, when I talk about like Rhea being full of shit and all of that, and like making up stories and lying and blah blah blah, and having like, when it really gets down to it, like do you have a sense of like good or evil or like this or that? Well, like this is just literally someone who thinks that like she's doing witchcraft and it's actively changing the world to be better for her, despite having no good friends, casting aside all of her authentic relationships, depreciating herself, her friends, her family. Like, yeah, she thinks that is all okay because she's a witch who has intergenerational power to cast spells and blah 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 blah. And trying to give her the benefit of the doubt and having like hopefully interesting conversations with about it was futile, because any like exploration of it, she didn't want to know what I thought about it. She didn't want to like know this or that. She just wanted to be like agreed with, implying that she knew all about like fucking magic and it was like super real. Very gay and fake. You gotta be delusional, think you're the center of the universe. It generally started to, I mean, it generally just is like that, yeah. I mean, even like Don Vader and that being like, that the current obsession is like, oh my god, it's so lucky that he's not like living with her. And it's like, Don, like, what have you seen? All you have seen is you trying to get me to join, her trying to get me to join, me joining and being like, I hope you cunts are okay. And then you guys actively fucking with me. I know that like I have my fucking schizo posting board and like this and that. But like I admitted to like my obsession and a certain level of it. And undeniably, like, your guys' fucking obsession, your guys' lies, your guys' like fantasy, delusional, hate-filled like bullshit is devoid of any of the legitimate reasons to care. You don't have any real reasons to care. You don't have any real attempts to make anything better. There's definitely one of my gayest virtues is like my self-sacrificial fucking temperament towards it all. I should have the self-esteem to think I'm like better than better than, and I mean it's both self-esteem, lack of self-esteem to like put myself through it, and arrogance to thinking that I can help. Um, but for them, it's literally like so much arrogance that they do embarrassing retard shit, hanging out with the biggest losers and debasing themselves in the worst way. And they're so arrogant that they refuse to see it. It's fucking crazy how like, you know, you're like the Machiavellian bullshit where like she's turned this person or this person. She's fucked up Cyclone's like relationship with J Stalk places. Oh, well, she didn't. I mean, he does that as well. But like, you look at like the people who correlate. The soda guy being like disgraced for being like a weird fucking pervert. She took advantage of a guy who was like a horny fucking pervert who degrades his wife in front of everyone, and she just took advantage of that horniness to eventually get him to the place where he was so horny to the other woman in the server and probably her as well, I guess. Who knows though? I honestly don't know if they're still talking and this and that. I just heard that he got kicked out of the server, and I just assumed that her going back to Justical server probably also implies her trying to if she had like a satisfying social circle, why go back there, you know? Equally though, she was leaking like messages to me between her and a mod in Justical server. People were trying to tell me Amumu isn't a mod actually, so that it couldn't be him, but like he had that Janny, not actually a Janny role. And he had like the muter role and he had that like fairly recently, like we were there with, like, with the tape thing and that. But anyway, like yeah, I don't know. It could all be lies, though. I think she was also saying that person was her boyfriend, but at this point, I just don't think that her real boyfriend ever existed. It just seems like a big motivational ploy to, um, try to avoid any accountability and also like attack me by thinking like it all goes back to that lie that like me and her were never together, right? And the easiest way to say that is like, well, I'm actually with someone else, which I assume was probably meant to be an Eric, but he probably never like fully signed off on it. So eventually she started trying to say that it was the soda guy, and then that turns out to be like completely fake. And yeah, very weird, very gay, probably never going to be satisfying, and any attempt to look into it will just lead to more weird gay shit. The rant has like derailed my plans for what to do for the next few hours. House of Cards be like? Yeah. I'm wondering if there's some moves I should do to like fix my potentially like permanently fucked over reputation. But I'm thinking maybe just like rebuild my image as like new name, probably stop camming up, or just get like a real life and just keep doing this as like the enjoyable way that I enjoy doing it. But it wouldn't take too much for something else in my life to take over as like the satisfaction that I'm like attempting to get from this place. So we'll see what happens. Um, 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 um. What was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, if it was really like House of Cards stuff, I would actually like. It's been kind of fun having my like schizo posting board, but I'm pretty over it, and I definitely had like some ideas for like evolving that in a more aggressive like schizo way, but like I genuinely can't be fucked spending more than like a few minutes at a time like ranting about it like this. It's literally the most time I've paid attention to Rhea and her bullshit for quite a while. I know that my schizo posting board looks intense, but like usually I would like think about that shit for like an hour or two and then just like quickly like just type out some shit. Because I know that it's like it's big, it's effective, it looks crazy, which is great. I'm playing into that whole bit. But it's way more fucking chill than how I imagine them sitting in BCs like talking about me when I'm not around and blah blah blah. I know that me probably all I had to do was like type a single paragraph or do like a rant like this on stream and look at the effect it had on Don Vader, bro. Fucking losing his mind, bro. But ultimately, yeah, psychologically, I think this is going to fuck with Rhea for the rest of her life, and it's not what I intended to do, but it's also pretty I can't believe she threatened that like to like get in touch with everyone in like the IT communities and attack me for this and that. I wish she would let it go. Like I know she can't really let it go, but like at this point, like she obviously knows that I like never actually made fun of her rape and yada yada yada, and that only upset me because I thought she could be convinced, right? So I'm just thinking about that again because Don was like aggressively saying it. I mean, yeah, Don was bringing up Spin Boy, and he was like yelling at me about my personal life. Like he was just trying to be like hurtful. But a lot of it was like, well, I don't care what you think, Don. I'm not like so annoyed about like the whole rape thing because of like other people thinking about it. Like it's just annoying to have that go back to her and like the lack of communication. Anyway, we're looping. We're definitely looping now. Yeah. Part of a lot of what I'm doing, I won't reveal too many of my inner thoughts. Find a new bitch that will ruin your life. That's actually what I was about to say. I was like, I won't reveal it, but partly what I'm doing here is trying to explain it to the hypothetical new woman who's like here actually watching this shit. But I mean, I've been hanging out with like a few girls privately. I don't know if I've been ghosted because it's not like I reply to them and they don't reply really. Or actually, maybe that did happen, but like I don't really chalk it up to anything or whatever. I got to assume if those girls joined my Discord, they would think it was weird though. But yeah, talking to those women, they would hear this shit about like women love like a good gossip, and the Rhea story has so many parts to it and so much funny shit. That is really the funniest part of actually a lot of this is the apparent obsession with Rhea is real. Like obviously I am like obsessed with her, but like the apparent part of it is that they're like he's pursuing her so hard and like he's trying to get this or that. And I mean, I'm not going to say it didn't. Like when we talked recently, she would like talk to me and like flirt with me and cam up and it would be like horny as fuck. We definitely had more e-sex again recently. The makeup e-sex was crazy, bro. But very funny that Soda and Sadness thought that he was getting that, and then low key, me and her were already getting it. Again, even after she hated on me, which is, what can I say? I'm drunk, I'm crazy, I'm kind of retarded. Dude, I'm sitting here watching Justical just collect subs throughout the night. Another one. DJ Khalid. He'll be back tomorrow. Everyone, by the way. I feel like if I'm typing in the chat, I better leave like a fucking thing. What was I saying? I think I was just talking about other women in my life. Why would I? This is like, I don't know though. It doesn't even come to my mind to be like, it's funny you guys are like, so like, you're like, oh, he's so obsessed with Rhea. And I'm like, she's like, in the ways that you think I'm into her, or like her calling me an incel, or like me being upset with women, easily replaceable. For all any of you know, I've been fucking in real life the past few weeks. uh, I actively make sure not to talk about, any of that though. 'Cause I feel like it detracts from it just to let you cunts know. Maybe that would be better though. Nah, I don't know. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna go take a piss and chill out. Hope you guys had a good night. Shut the fuck up. You shut the fuck up. Bro, this was a great rant. This rant deserves a fuckload of people coming in, hanging out, watching, listening, advertise its stream. I am actually a little bit surprised that my viewer number didn't burst up at all tonight while I'm having this rant, which is awesome. But it's good to know that pretty consistently, whenever I talk about this or talk about that, 5-10 people will come in. So I just know that there's someone here like always lurking and always like feeding it back to her, and it's just like nice that that doesn't happen. Sometimes I like will just hide my viewer number, but generally, like I'm Pavlov dog trained to like keep checking in on it. And it definitely, when you see it go up, it's like, oh, you get that little adrenaline rush. So the Pavlov dog addiction to watching the number is pretty fucking strong. But it's a relief to see it not go up. It definitely makes me feel more comfortable, just like speaking my mind, hanging out, like knowing you guys are here, chilling. And dude, I'm suddenly reminding myself of Book Smarts, one of his very last streams. He had a similar thing. Tell them about personal life. Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, that's why it's so crazy with Rick telling me like that he's coming to New Zealand to fuck a New Zealander girl and stuff, and he was really like smitten with her. Oh, she's like everything I could want, and like blah blah blah. And I was like, "Is it Steve?" And he like didn't say anything, and I was like, "Oh, well, one, I don't know if she promised you that. Like, it's kind of crazy. You're gonna spend like what $20,000-$30,000 like flying out, and she's in there flirting with the Moo aggressively right now. Like, and I don't know if she's like, I mean, I don't know anything. I don't know anything, but um, I mean, honest, it makes Rick look weird. Like, it's weird with like Rhea and Taxi when was that Steve again? When Taxi fucking when they were like, "Hey, what's the deal with that Taxi guy?" And then Rhea was like, "Rhea, you have to respect him." And all the other women were like, "Well, no, he's actually fucking weird." Um, it just makes me feel like Rick has his prongs out like that a little bit, which is like weird and annoying. Even when I like was his friend, but now like seeing him like act so extreme over such bullshit. Definitely a lot of it I chalk up to like a lack of ability to comprehend, which started to like tick in when I had to talk to him about Justical Server a bunch of times. Talking to Rick and Shell about like the way they appear to everyone else and the way that like appearances like affect people's decisions was like, especially for Rick as someone who like runs a server, I was like, yeah, you don't see that at all. Like you do it so hard. Like, fuck, dude, cringe. I don't need to do a full fucking catalog of how fucking cringe those people are. I could do a university course on it maybe another day. Do a bloody lecture. I'm gonna go catch a little bit of sun though. I would do a long 5 minute good night where I just sit here saying good night, good night. I know that it feels great. Uh, Sometimes I feel really good. Sometimes I need to have someone say like, "Hey, thanks for hanging out. Have a good night." Even if it's a streamer, feels really good. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, Full of Hell. I appreciate your even your one word replies to my rants. Plus the soundtrack. I'd sit here running for like 30 minutes and then you'd recommend a song and I'd be like, oh, yeah, that's right. Anyway, I'm sure I'll have this exact same rant again another time. Good night, good night. Night. Actually, good night.